Okay, you talked about the interaction between the IT departments and the communications departments when making intranet sites. Can you tell me something about what you talked about?
Well, one of the things I said was that there wasn't enough connection between IT and communications, and often when there was a connection, it comes far too late in the process of creating or rebuilding an intranet site. And part of the problem is that IT and communications don't speak the same language, and they often don't like each other, or they have a perception that they don't like each other. So there's this conflict all the time between them. And if you don't address that in the early stages of creating an intranet, you're just going to have more problems down the line when you get into, actually trying to finish it and get it out there for employees to use.
So very often it will be the IT department that is beginning the work, making the site, and then afterwards the communications department will enter the office. What is the problem with that?
What's wrong with that picture? That's exactly the opposite, of what it should be. What's wrong with that picture is that it should begin with communications and working with IT. But too often, what you said is what happens. IT is given the duty of, well, we need an intranet. That is a technical creation. It's an information technology platform. So the executives say to IT, go ahead and build this. The money usually goes to IT for that. So they have the resources, they have the money, they have the attention of the executives who are saying we need this. And the communicators are sitting out over here saying, well, maybe we ought to think about what will be on the intranet. What kind of content will we create? How will it interact with the employees? What do the employees even want on the intranet? And shouldn't that have something to say about the design, the functionality, the look and feel of the intranet? So I really think that the communication part of it has to begin first.
Why do you think there is this culture of two isolated departments?
I think what happens is that people are under a lot of pressure to, meet the orders that they've been given. I used to think, well, IT, they're just in their own world and they don't care about this. They're just going to do what they want to do. But as I've gotten to know some IT people, what I've realized is they are under a certain amount of pressure to bring in this project on time, on a particular schedule, on a certain budget. They've got to make it work, and they're told, go, make this happen. And so they're very focused, very narrowly focused on what can I do to build this, make it work, make all the bells and whistles work, and I don't have time to think about content. And on the communication side, the communicators are also kind of single-minded. They're thinking about, well, what should be on this creation? How am I going to connect with employees? What kinds of news and information am I going to put on here? What kind of interactivity? I have to go find that out by doing some research and creating a plan, but I'm not thinking about the functionality or the technical considerations or the problems in creating such a large system and making it work across the enterprise. I'm not thinking about that. So we're thinking about two very different things.
And who is responsible for this problem and for solving it?
That's a very good question. Who's responsible? Well, I think it has to start at the top, because that's where the decisions are made and the resources are committed. But I would say from the communication standpoint, what communicators need to do is that they need to make the business case for being involved in this project. They need to be able to say, look, we have some business issues that we're trying. We have goals as a business. Communication can help our business do the business better. For example, wouldn't it be good for business if every employee understood what the goals were and why we were doing them? Well, when you go out and ask them, like in a survey or in a focus group, the employees will say they don't understand. Well, that's a communication problem. And communication can solve that problem, and it'll be good for the business. So, managers need to interact with their employees. The executives need to interact with the employees. And two-way communication that's good for the business because it puts everybody kind of on the same page. So we have to build an argument for communications that is actually based more as an argument on the business plan and the business goals. And if we do that, then I think you get the attention of the executives and you can make this system work better.
You have worked with a lot of companies that are that have come to the first step of addressing this issue and getting the eyes open for that they have a problem. But what is the first thing that you tell them and that you ask them to implement?
The first thing I do with the communications people is I say, let's go out and do some research. Let's talk to employees. Let's look at what you have now and what's wrong with it in very practical terms. What works, what doesn't work, what do people like, what don't we like? And then the second thing is let's get in front of an executive early on and say, this is really important, here's what communications can do, and let's find an executive sponsor, somebody who can kind of be our clout, as we like to say in Chicago, be the influence that can drive this. And then the third thing is, as much as we don't want to, let's get together with those IT guys and see what they're doing and see how we might work together.